So what is an SSL and why do you need one? We're talking about that on The Journey. All right, today we have a special guest, Alicia from Sucuri. She is the security expert today to talk to us about what are SSLs and should we actually need one. Let's just jump in and what is an SSL?
So an SSL is a certificate for your website that allows you to use the HTTPS in the address bar.
Okay.
And that actually allows you to encrypt the traffic between the visitor and your website. It's basically protecting the communication in transit.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about that encryption. What does that look like?
So encryption is basically like scrambling the data while it's being sent. You can kind of think of it like if you and a friend have a secret language that only you two know how to, translate. That's what SSL is kind of doing. It's encrypting all that data, and only if you have the key to translate it at one end or the other, so the visitor or the browser, that's the only way that the data can be actually looked at and analyzed.
That makes sense, like that old language, Pig Latin that friends used to do with each other.
For sure, yeah.
Right
Unless
on.
you know Pig Latin, you can't decrypt it. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, it just really helps to make sure for things like sending passwords and credit card data and that kind of stuff. You don't want a hacker to do what's called a man-in-the-middle attack and sniff the traffic while it's being sent.
Sniff the traffic?
Yeah, so they essentially can have traffic monitoring tools. If you live in apartment buildings or stuff, you know how you see all of the different SSIDs for different Wi-Fi networks? If somebody's trying to sniff on your network and you're sending passwords in plain text or information to a website, that's not ideal.
All right, so there was an update with Google that everyone was up in arms about related to SSLs. What happened with that?
Yeah, so SSL has been pushed by Google for years. In about 2014, they made it a ranking signal that helps you get to the top of Google. So they're favoring sites that use these security practices and have SSL.
Right on.
Last year, what they did is they went a step further and they actually made it so that if your site doesn't have SSL, it says not secure in the browser in the address bar next to your website address.
That's not good. So if any average person sees that and says not secure, even if they're not putting any information on, that trust is gone. They're out. They're bouncing.
Totally, yeah. It's big red letters in your address bar. It's not ideal, and more browsers are hopping on it. There's even antivirus companies that are getting more involved in that. If they detect there's passwords or a credit card field, they'll warn you. You may have seen this already. Be aware that this is not a trusted site.
Perfect. And is this only happening with Google browsers?
No, it's happening with a lot more of them now, yeah.
Oh, so everyone's kind of just jumping on board,
Yeah.
kind of following suit with Google?
Totally, and a lot of websites have SSL now. It's pretty much a standard that you need to adopt if you want to have trust with your visitors. It's definitely required if you have an e-commerce site and you're taking credit card transactions, even if you're not
100%,
processing them. Yeah, totally. Nobody wants their credit card data out there in plain text for a hacker to just go ahead and grab.
Yeah, no thanks. So with SSLs, there is something with you have to pay for SSLs for the longest time, and now these things that are just free are coming out. What's the difference between paid SSLs and free SSLs?
Yeah, definitely. So in the end, encryption is encryption. You're still scrambling and translating and all that kind of stuff with your secret keys. So a free SSL certificate is still a great option.
Okay.
It still validates that you own that domain. And so you just need to put in the effort to actually install it yourself. And there are awesome guides out there on how to use it. And there's tools that make it easier. But ultimately, you're now responsible to make sure that your SSL certificate is renewed on time. Otherwise, not secure. So it does help to pay for a certificate and have somebody manage it. There's also different types of certificates. Instead of just validating that you own the domain, you can validate that you own the business. There's organization certificates and extended validation certificates, which can be really great. If you've ever been on a site and you've seen the name of the company in the address bar with the green check mark? Yeah, those are the EV and OV certificates that have that little bit of extra information in the green padlock on the browser bar there.
Yeah, I see that pretty common with banks and things like that. Now, most businesses may not need to go to that level, but the organization or OV SSLs are pretty important. So if anyone needs to verify, yes, this business is who they say they are. We verified that.
Totally. It just helps people feel like they're on a trustworthy site.
Right.
And it also means that you have somebody to manage your SSL certificate for you, and you can avoid, having it expire or anything like that.
Especially if you're not technical, the free option may not be the way to go.
Yeah, I've used Certbot and I've installed an SSL certificate. It took me a few tries to get used to it. So definitely, if you're not super technical savvy, you might want to, go the road of getting somebody to do managed SSL for you. In fact, a lot of these website builders already have SSL built in, so you don't even need to think about it. But it is good to check and make sure that you do have SSL on your site.
That definitely makes it super easy if it's already included, no extra steps. Website builders already make it easy. One step further, make it even easier. All right, that's all awesome stuff, but what if I have a website and I'm not e-commerce, I'm not selling anything, should I still have an SSL?
Definitely. So
Okay.
let's say that you have a form on your site. Most sites have a contact form. All of that data that the visitor is sending to you is now unencrypted. That's personal data that you still want to protect. You may have a membership site where people are logging in with a password. You want to protect
Right.
that too. And also just the benefits to your rankings and just the fact that it's a good thing to do is definitely everybody should have SSL.
All right, so to recap, do you need an SSL for your website? The answer is yes, right?
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Well, that's all we have for you. Thank you so much to our special guest, Alicia from Sakuri.
Thank you.
You've been awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And if you've liked this video, go ahead and hit that like button, comment below on something that you learned, and subscribe to this channel if you want to see these videos. This is The Journey. We'll see you next time.